Hello, Jacopo and Eric. Welcome tonight to GitHub 101 Issues and Pull Requests. We're going to be talking about some intro things with GitHub issues and pull requests. But to start, what's GitHub? Most people have used it for syncing and backing up their own personal code, but it's also super powerful for collaboration through issues, pull requests. There's a lot of other features that it has, but tonight we're going to be focusing on those two. So this is just a photo of a GitHub repo. This is the one for our WebDev UW website. And with that, we'll jump right into the meat. So intro to issues. To start, what's the issue? Why is there a need for some other tool to help us code? And the answer is that coding is more than just typing on a keyboard. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it, like exploring new ideas, planning features, hearing feedback from people, getting ideas from people, fixing bugs. And if you're working on a small individual project, that's pretty easy because you can just keep track of stuff in your head. But if you're working with other people, if you're working on a big project, keeping track of all that non-code stuff involved in a project, it gets messy, particularly when you have a lot of people involved or when you're working on multiple things at the same time. So a solution that helps us handle all that other fun stuff that comes with the projects is an issue. And it's sort of like a forum post. It can take almost any shape. We write them using Markdown. So if you've ever used a README, written to README, it's the same language as that. Markdown is used for a lot of stuff these days, and it can include all sorts of stuff, links, images, code snippets, um, checklists, tons of fun stuff. And because they're so versatile, because we can make so many different things in an issue, they can be used for bug reports, brainstorming, feedback, tons and tons of different stuff. And in just a minute, we're going to go through some examples of these different use cases. And then finally, the third important piece of an issue is that they have some collaboration focused features like assignees and labels, which we're going to look at a little later. So TLDR, they're like a forum post. You can do whatever you want in them, which makes them useful for a ton of different stuff. So first example to demonstrate how these things can be helpful is a bug report. And I think that this is one of the more common use cases for issues. This is a big thing in the open source community. If you find a typo in a doc online or an actual bug with a framework, for example, a JavaScript framework, you can typically file an issue on GitHub, and that's the main place where whoever's maintaining that project or working on it keeps track of all their bug reports. So this example is for a bug that Bailey found on our website, webww.org, and we can take a look at the different pieces that are in here. So obviously there's a title and a basic description, which Ryan is saying involves the container on the website. But on the right side, you can see labels. So the labels on this one are that it's a bug because it's an issue with the website, and front end because it involves the front end of the website. There's a ton of different labels that we can do, add to issues, but we'll look at those in a few minutes. There's also assignees, but for this issue, nobody's been assigned to it. So I think this kind of shows off like what a really basic issue might look like. Title, a couple of labels, a little bit of a conversation with Ryan talking to himself in here, and I added the bug label to it last night. A bigger issue that we'll look at next comes from Microsoft. Once upon a time, VS Code got a new icon. This is a few years ago, and it's this orange icon on the left, and it was very not loved by a lot of people. So, how did they get in touch with the VS Code developers about that? They created an issue. So this is one that's not a bug report, it's more of just a conversation. And this person says, can we return previous app icon or draw a new one? It looks really bad. And you can see there's reactions. So a lot of people agree with this one. There's the thumbs up, hearts. And in here, there's like 361 comments. So you can see that this is an issue that a lot of different people participated in. It's pretty small here on the bottom right, but 286 people were involved in this issue. So if you kind of jump back to the forum post analogy, a lot of people were active on this one. Versus the other one, it's just a few people. They can scale to be really massive, involve a lot of people, and that's one reason why they're so powerful. So those are the two examples. I think that a fun way to learn with the issues and pull requests is to do demo. So that's what we're going to do now.
I've
We
just sent the link
created,
to the meetings chat.
awesome.
Um,
So we'll do at the very end. Um, we were planning to do it then, like have everyone else try it, but since we only have a couple people, I think we could just do it together now, and that could be fun. So I'll go first, and then Jacopo, did someone else join too? Let's see. Oh yeah, we have a few others. Awesome. So you can do it now, or at the very end, we can all do it together, and Owen and I can help out. So I'm
yeah,
gonna go to this repo, and issues exist in a tab up here at the top. So there's code, issues, pull requests. These are kind of the three most important tabs, I would say, for most people. Actions are pretty cool too. I think that maybe that'd be a fun topic for a different night. And then they've got all sorts of other stuff. GitHub's adding a lot of new features. But this repo, it just has a folder in it, bios, and there's some bios in here. There's only one right now. It's for Luna, Ryan's favorite dog. Uh, and Luna's
What? I heard
bio
Luna.
is, yep.
What? I love
Luna's
Luna.
bio is, I'm the cutest corgi on earth. But, there's a lot of us in the club, and it's missing our contact information here. So I could jump in and to the issues tab here, create a new issue, and I can give it a title like, JP's bio is missing. And we can give it a label. So for this one, we can check out all these. I'll make this a bit bigger.
I've just added a new label if you want to
Oh, yeah.
refresh. Maybe.
New bio. Perfect.
New bio.
So there's a new bio label, and obviously that's very applicable to this. So I'll give it a title. JP's bio is missing. If you're working on an issue that is a bug report, for example, this would be an awesome place to talk about, like what's going wrong, what did I expect. This is typically, if you look at open source projects, they have a template for issues, but for us tonight, we're keeping it easy. Let's do a title, and no comment is really needed. So I'll submit the new issue, and just like that, now in this repo, there's an issue. Everyone else who's involved in this project can see it in the list, and later on, everyone else is going to have a chance to make one themselves. So, I'll jump back here. That's what we have for issues. Summary, they're really powerful. They enable collaboration, and they help you keep track of all sorts of stuff. But I'd say that three big ones are bugs, ideas, features. I know that it's a lot of information. If you've never worked with issues before, it's sort of a new paradigm. So if you have questions now, we are happy to answer them. But like I said, later on we'll do a demo, and I think that that'll help. So anybody have any questions before we move on to PRs? Nice. Owen, do you have anything you want to add, or should we keep running?
No, I think you're doing a great job here, JP. Let's keep
Thank you,
going.
Owen. You're making me blush. Okay, part two of three, intro to pull requests. So for a few minutes here, just kind of take all that stuff we just talked about with issues, put it to the side in your mind. We're going to reconnect these two because they're really closely linked after this section. But for now, we're just going to talk about what a pull request is. So in Git, Commits are everything. I'm sort of assuming that people in here have used Git before. If you haven't, um, stay at the end. We can teach you a little more about it. But commits are the primary feature of Git. They're a best friend, and a commit is just capturing a set of changes. So if you update a file, you commit with a message like fixed bio, and multiple commits together make up what we call a branch. So small projects, like if you have a personal website or if you're working on something in class, they usually just have one branch, which is the master branch. This was recently renamed to main on GitHub at least. So that's what I'll call it for the rest of the night. The main branch is sort of the core code for a project. Typically, the code, the commits, all the changes that are on the main branch. This is what everybody is, if it's a framework or something or a project that's being released out to the public, this is what the branch that's used for releasing the product. And typically, it's where all development work starts from. So if you're developing a new feature, you start with this, and then you do whatever you want to it using Git. So branches are important because they let you work on a specific feature in isolation. And I think that branches like really sort of deserve their whole own presentation. They're kind of a complex topic. You can do a lot with them, but the two most important things to know about branches are their set of commits, typically relating to one specific thing, like fixing the background color of a website or adding a comment section to a blog, something like that. And the other thing is that they are always merged into the main branch. This is the destiny of every branch is to be merged back into the main branch. So this graphic kind of shows that. On the left here, we start with the code. This is like our project on Tuesday. And then maybe somebody makes their own branch to do some work. And then later in the week, it gets merged back into the main through the pull request process that we're about to talk about. So, lots to digest, but the core thing is branches are a set of commits that are not on the main branch, which means that they're not immediately being published on the internet. They're not being shipped into a product. It's where you do work on an individual feature in isolation, and they're eventually merged back into the main branch. But since they're being merged back into the main branch, it introduces kind of a problem for large projects. And that problem comes from the fact that if you have a lot of people working on a project, it's easy for commits to break things, for example. It's easy for features to be added that are sort of out of line with the vision of the project. So pull requests allow us to comment on, give feedback on, approve changes that we want to add to a repo before they get added to the main branch. So if you were working alone, this is not so much an issue. You just put it directly into main. But when you're working with other people, it's important to get some feedback before you merge it back into the main branch so that you're not doing something or breaking something that other people working on the project don't expect. I think that this will be more clear with the demo too. PRs are similar to issues in the way that they are also kind of like a forum post. You can do anything you want in them. They're written with Markdown. You can add in links, comments, threads, code snippets, all that fun stuff. And they're also focused on collaboration. They're the same system of labels and assignees, and you can request reviews on your code, which we're going to do. So the life of a pull request kind of is in three parts. The birth is we push a branch with a set of commits and create a pull request on GitHub. The life of the main part of a pull request, I think the most important part is that anybody working on the project can share their feedback on the changes that are being proposed to the main branch through comments and eventually approval. All changes that are going into the main branch need to be approved by an admin of the repo. So a practical example for us for this club is our website. Before we add a new feature to the website, we'll make a PR, and that's an opportunity for us to get another set of eyes on our code and to make sure that the change that we're making is what everybody expected us to make. Finally, branches get merged into main, and once a branch gets merged into main, now it's part of the actual project. It's part of what's being released. It's part of what's being published on the internet. So the pull request gets closed, kind of gets forgotten about, the branch gets deleted, all is good in the world. So a practical example is a pull request that I made about a week ago. I was working on my personal website and I was using a component library, kind of like Bootstrap for those who have used it before. If you haven't, no big deal. It's just kind of like I was reading this doc online and I found a typo on this website. So I went to the repo where the docs are hosted, where everyone works on them, and I made a pull request to fix this capitalization thing. It was really small, it's just lowercase r or capital R instead of a lowercase r. So this is what a pull request looks like on the surface. It's kind of a conversation. It looks very much like an issue, but there's some extra tabs here. You can see all the commits within that pull request. So like I said, the branch is just a set of changes that I'm proposing we make to the main. So these are all the commits that I made in isolation that I want to add to the main branch. And you can also see the files that I've changed. Since I'm just making a difference, since I've made changes against that main branch, this is how it differs. And you can see the change I made was on this line. I just changed the spelling of that word. So very small pull request, and it got merged in. Typo was fixed. That's an example pull request. But now we're going to make one live here. So I'm going to go back to that same repo earlier. And as we saw with the issue example, the issue demo, I don't have a bio in here. So I'm just going to use GitHub for this, but you can use an editor or a VS Code, whatever you want. However you code, you can make this sort of change in a new branch, but it's really easy to do it on github.com for just one file. So I'm going to click Add File up here, create new file in the BIOS folder, and I'll name it jp.txt. Throw my name in there. Quick bio, if I can spell. There we go. And then at the bottom here, give it a commit name. And we have two options, commit directly to main branch or create a new branch for this commit and start a pull request. That's what we're going to do. And you can see that as this, when we change between these two, the green text changes on the button. And I think that kind of is symbolizing what's happening. This one is committing it right away. We're saying this is just going directly into the main branch. This is what the project will become. Versus with a new branch and a pull request, it's a proposition, propose new file. So I'll go ahead and click that. Title, add JP's bio is great. And we can create it using this green button right here. So now it's in, and we can check out the same things I showed earlier. There's the commits tab that shows all the commits I've made. It's only one for this branch, but if you were working on something more complex, it'd obviously be a lot more. And we can see the files change. So for this commit, I've just added one file, jp.txt. So it shows that. And this is where the conversation happens. So other people could comment on here if they wanted to. They could ask questions about what I've done, or they could suggest different methods. And finally, the last part of a pull request that's really important is review. So we need to get, oh yeah, Ryan, thank you. Ryan says, I don't know how I feel about this. Anyone can comment on that sort of thing. And you can also request review from people who will take a look at your code And if they're happy with the changes, they can slap an approval on it. Or if they're not happy with what you've done, you can leave a specific comment with directions for what should be changed or feedback on what's wrong. So for this one, I'll request review from Bailey and Owen, Ryan, and that's it. Off to the races. So hopefully by the time we get to the end of the next section, those guys will have reviewed it. So pull requests in summary, they allow you to develop features in isolation and then merge them back, add them to the main product, the main branch, in a really collaborative way with comments, approval, getting everybody involved so that it's not just you making a change and blindly adding it. So, are there any questions before we move on? And Owen, if you want to jump in and add anything, go ahead.
I think you're doing great. I just submitted my review.
Great. So, last part of this, issues and pull requests together. This is kind of the big kahuna. Like I said in the event description, this is really how like almost all software development is happening now, I would say. All the projects I've worked on, both like personal and at work, issues and pull requests is how stuff gets done because it's really collaborative and there's a lot of oversight where there needs to be, but there's also a lot of freedom for people to work on stuff on their own time and timeline. So, as I said with the issues, all issues and pull requests share one common destiny, and that's that they eventually want to be closed. And closed can mean several different things. Most commonly, it means resolved, as in the bug has been fixed, or if we're redesigning a website, we've heard enough feedback from people, we've decided the approach that we want to go on. But it can also mean that stuff's being ignored. Like if a pull request is made and whoever's leading that project decides it's not what they want to happen in the repo, just gets ignored and closed or forgotten about. Sometimes issues will linger for a really, really long time and just don't get any attention. They're sort of just closed because they're inactive. So it can mean a lot of different things, but most common it means either resolved, ignored, or forgotten about. And this is an example of an issue that is being closed with a comment. So if I finish up on something, you can write a quick comment, all done, and close the issue with a comment. Once an issue is closed, it disappears from the primary view on GitHub, which we'll see in just a minute. And it sort of is no longer important to the project development. So it's nice because the number of open issues is kind of indicative of what is being worked on within a project. This is just a quick pro tip. In a pull request, you can use this cool language, closes, with the number of an issue that you're trying to close. I'll show this in a second, but it lets you quickly close issues that are connected to a pull request. So if it's a bug report, for example, we have an issue, maybe issue number 42, and this is a bug report. If you create a pull request that fixes that issue, you can comment or add to the description closes hashtag 42. And once that pull request is closed by merging into the main branch, the issue will be closed as well. And this is just kind of housekeeping stuff, easier to track. It creates a relationship between an issue and a pull request. It's kind of fun. Everything gets closed together. So this is an example. For this one, the issue number 9 was this Ditch Chakra UI for Tailwind CSS. Not important, that's just the name. And in a pull request, I commented closes number 9. So once this pull request was merged into the main and closed, that issue that was connected to it was also closed at the same time. So we'll do another live demo here. Go back to our repo. We've had some activity on here. OP left a comment. OP Hunt looks great. BioJP, thanks for your contribution. Nice. Please fix Chipotle to Qdoba. Oh, geez. Ryan, I gotta disagree. Oh, he requested changes. Okay. Well, I'm gonna override him just for the sake of the demo. But this is a good example. You can find if there's a specific problem with the code, somebody can request a very specific change, and GitHub will alert you that like Ryan here has requested changes. And if since I'm an admin on this repo, I can still merge it, but you can set up rules on GitHub where if the changes aren't approved by everybody, then it can't be merged. So the issue number for JP's bio is missing. It's issue number 1. I'll add a quick comment here, closes number 1. And once I do that, I think I need to reload. May close these issues. Live demo. All right, I think that you need to put this in the description. So I'll just edit it, closes number 1, update that. There we go.
There we
Now
go.
it's linked. So JP's bio is missing, is a linked issue. Successfully merging this pull request may close these issues. I will go ahead and merge it. Confirm merge. If we go back to the issue, it'll be closed. And then if we go to the repo, we're looking at the main branch now. Go into bios, jp.txt is there. All right, so that is all the information. And like I said, it's a lot. So we would love to have everybody now give these steps a try.